And when you have courage and resilience and you can weather the storm and you can just keep pushing until you get to where you see yourself,
Exactly.
that's a thought leader.
I just feel like what's about to happen to the culture because of little old me, like I feel like I'm responsible for changing the entire narrative for the black community. And it's about me putting myself around people like you who is smarter than you guys are smarter than anybody that I know. And I don't say that like to be like weird or facetious or anything like.
And I would say to you, you've got more courage than almost anybody I know.
Wow, did you hear that? That is amazing. Coming from you, I don't have more courage than Grant. Grant is crazy.
Yeah, Grant has courage, but you for everything that you endured to pull yourself to where you're at and to be in the position you're in. I've had to study and work with business owners and entrepreneurs now for 30 years, right? So I know what real courage looks like. And I know what pretending to be courageous looks like.
Wow.
You've got real courage and resilience.
Yes.
And I think when you have those two qualities, it's such a great example. And you've taken away, so here's the most important thing about being a thought leader, right? The most important thing about being a thought leader is that you've taken away all the excuses from everyone else.
What does that mean to be a thought leader?
Well, so when you think about pulling yourself out of the strip club, pulling yourself out of selling or stealing stuff,
yes,
or scamming, when you pull yourself then into, I'm going to get a legit job at the TSA. I'm going to study these people that are coming through here. I'm going to pay attention to what's going on. I'm not just going to show up at work, be a victim, hate my life, go home. I'm going to actually take baby steps and pay attention.
Yeah,
right?
Pay attention.
And absorb. I could just visualize you watching people, not judging them, but learning from them,
yes.
right? So that's a thought leader. It's somebody who's not letting somebody else control how they think or what they do. So the hardest and the most strength from my opinion is the hardest position to be in as a thought leader, because you have to think entirely different than everybody else.
Okay.
And the world's made up, and you mentioned earlier, to try to bring you to everybody else's thinking.
Yes.
So now you're a thought leader. You're like, I need to break through. I need something bigger. Then you go to Atlanta and you're like, I'm paying attention. I'm seeing all this. I'm registering. Mm-hmm. Right? So now what's happening? So when I talked yesterday about law of curiosity and intellectual curiosity, mm-hmm. intellectual ignorance and intellectual arrogance is a negative on the balance sheet. Intellectual awareness and intellectual curiosity is a plus on the balance sheet. Well, you have both of those because you're curious, you're watching, and you're aware of what's happening. To me, those are thought leaders.
Okay.
When you're aware and you're curious, because you're asking questions, you're absorbing data and information, and you're thinking about something. You're not just going through the motion and being.
Okay.
So then you take action, and that next step that you took takes courage, and then you probably you get beat down a little bit. But the thought that you mentioned, like the fear of not getting there, was greater than the fear of what you had to go back to.
Exactly.
And so that takes resilience. And when you have courage and resilience and you can weather the storm and you can just keep pushing until you get to where you see yourself.
Exactly.
That's a thought leader.
Okay, thank you. I never heard
because
that.
You created that thought.
Okay.
And what you just described to me about where you're going next is still operating on the right side of the balance sheet. Intellectual awareness, intellectual curiosity. I'm going to 40 million, to 60 million, to 100 million. You'll see it. I know you go and you put yourself in a state where you see it as though you've done it.
Yes.
That's what thought leaders do, because if you don't do that, how do you create?
Well, I never heard that before. I just learned that, thought leader.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't feel like there's a lot of thought leaders in my community. Like you see actresses and entertainers and singers and Beyonce and Jay-Z and Rihanna and somebody who married a football player or a basketball player. So as a black ordinary woman that made her life extraordinary, for me, the more I climb, the further I go, the more that I get to change the narrative for us. Like, you can be a thought leader. You could grow into this person without waiting on, like, don't wait on somebody to give you something. Don't wait on a handout. Don't become a victim. Don't become a worrier. Like, a lot of people worry about things and they waste a lot of energy and time on things that can't serve them. And for me, it's like, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.